I don't know. I quit smoking cigarettes in the early 80s and threw a toothpick in my mouth, and I've had a toothpick every day since. So yeah, I'm the toothpick guy. I'm the director of the division that has about 1,400 employees that work at special events around the valley. After my divorce, just worked and worked and worked, because that was how I was defined, by how successful I was at work, but never really being happy, as a matter of fact. I met Tana and we fell in love instantly, at least I did.
We just hit it off right away, chemistry immediately.
Tana had these two beautiful little kids, Kaylee and Mason. So I said, let's get married. So we did, we got married in Disneyland. And then Daisy was born after only 6 months inside mom. She had a rare issue with her umbilical cord, and she had some stomach surgeries and some serious problems.
That experience was really terrifying, and she lived in the NICU for about 3 months.
And during that time, this family, the Few Sorrows, had always been a good friend of mine, and I told him what was going on with Daisy. And he said, you know, you should come to our church. And I said, well, I don't want to be the guy that goes to church just because my kid's in the hospital. And Jimmy said, God doesn't care why you come.
Glenn had never even gone to church once in his life. He had never even prayed ever before.
My dad had a hard time with religion, and he taught me that it was for sissies. But we talked about it, my wife and I, and we said, we'll try it. We'll try anything at this point. What's the name of it? And they said, Scottsdale Bible Church. And so I went along, and we went to church, and it gave us a little refuge from the NICU.
We went for about 1.5 years after Daisy was born, and she's doing wonderful, and you know, there's no long-term effects for her.
It became a bit of a lifestyle for us. My little Mason, he fell in love with church. He would ask specific questions about heaven, and I didn't know the answer.
And he believed immediately. And he started praying to God, and I would find him praying under his sheets at night.
One night we were laying in bed, we heard a cough, which was a familiar, unpleasant sound, which was usually the beginning of one of Mason's asthma attacks. So I grabbed the medicine, comes in a little vial, and ran in and dumped it in the mask, and put the mask on Mason and put him on my lap and turned the machine on, and I could see that he was panicking a little bit.
And it startled me, and so I jumped out of bed, and he came running across the room at me, and he threw his arms up and he said, Mommy, please help me, I'm dying.
I think she went to run for her phone to call 911. And that's when Mason stopped breathing.
Glenn gave Mason CPR for about 6 minutes.
When the paramedics came, I had his heart beating, and then they worked on Mason for about 20 minutes in the hospital and tried all the different things that they could try to bring him back until it was clear to everybody that he wasn't coming back.
Of course, I lost control. And I knew God was telling me, I am a compassionate God, I'm a loving God. I love him enough to take him.
So I was pretty angry. And I said to Tana, so if there's a God, how could he take my son?
I said to him, don't you dare be angry at him, because he is all that we have. And at that point, I brought him into my life and into my heart, and I knew. I just knew.
So the next day, Pat Sullivan explained to us how there's a chance that God was answering Mason's prayers as opposed to not answering ours. I shifted from, if there's a God, how could he take my son, to, there is a God, and how could he not take my son? And the church reached out to us, and they had this gigantic, amazing funeral, and we hadn't given any money to the church. We weren't members of the church. It's an amazing community. And God stood us up and sent us out to smile and tell people that if you have a relationship with Jesus, you don't need anything else. Because there's been some tough times in that 4 years since Mason died. But it's been the best 4 years of my life. I used to hear people say, count your blessings. And I used to think, my motorcycle, my gold watch, the money that's in my bank account, those aren't blessings. Blessings are friendships, joy, your family. It'd be pretty rare to catch Glenn Ray working on a Sunday anymore. That's our family time. That's our church time. We pray as a family and we study the Bible as a family and we're grateful as a family.
My name is Tana Ray.
I'm Glenn Ray, and this is the story of my family, and we're proud and blessed to be able to tell it.